So, as you all know, the time study runs every single year. This is the FY25, basically the beginning of the time study. Um, so, we are going to proceed with the presentation now. I'm going to go over the agenda first. So, a few items that we're going to go over today. First is we're going to intro the Medicaid time study team. Then we're going to go over the time study rules, who should participate in the time study, a brief orientation to the website, which I'll turn over to Abby at some point halfway through this. And from there, we'll go on with the roster training. And then lastly, the key dates and information along with the questions. So at the end, we will stay on for a few minutes and kind of hang out here if anyone has questions afterwards. All right, so as for intros, my name is Gunnar Rojas. I'm the project manager here at PCG. I've been on the project team for about 3 years now. I think this is my fourth time study though. So it's nice being here with you guys all these years and kind of getting to know a lot of you all. We also have Besu, who is back. I don't believe he's in the call today, but we have Abby here on cam as well. And then we have Setu, who, if anyone was here yesterday, she was helping present yesterday. We also have our email over to the side along with our phone number that you all can use for reference. These slides will be posted on the website afterwards too, along with a recording. And our DCF contact is Justin Vericchione from the provider compliance team, and his email is listed there as well. On to the purpose of the time study. So the time study allows DCF to obtain federal funding to support the critical care that you all provide. For the purpose of this training, the training will serve to inform participating program coordinators, so everyone here, how to navigate the Mario Time Study website and how to complete the rosters. For the time study roles, so you all as coordinators, just kind of going over a few responsibilities here. So coordinators are program leaders responsible for coordinating the staff rosters and ensuring all program staff receive time study training. You all will act as the primary point person for program staff and the PCG time study team. You also may complete timesheets during the time study, just depending on what kind of staff you are at your program. Sometimes programs will designate admin staff to help go over the time study, and in that case, admin staff aren't really working with youth throughout the day. So that means they will probably not be completing timesheets, but you should have a pretty good idea ahead of time if you're going to complete timesheets. A lot of you all have completed this in the past, and those of you that are new, you should probably already know that you're not completing timesheets for taking care of youth. As for some key tasks here below, some things that you all will be doing throughout the time study is answering questions from us as the time study team and communicating critical issues throughout the time study. So if we see that anything's off or anything like that with either your program, your account, or we're getting close to a deadline, then we'll probably be reaching out to you. You will also ensure all participants complete the mandatory training. So this training right here, this is the coordinator's mandatory training. Typically, we have at least one coordinator from each location to attend these trainings. That way, you guys can just make sure that the program is covered. And later on in the presentation, towards the end, we will show the upcoming participant trainings that will be occurring at the beginning of April. On to the third bullet point. Coordinators will also follow up with participants to make sure they're submitting their timesheets timely. So, as you all know, sometimes everything just gets really crazy getting towards the time study. And once that time study starts on April 28th, you guys have from the 28th until May 11th to get those timesheets completed. I know a lot of times it's really hard getting the staff to complete those, at least in a timely manner, right before the 11th. But that's why we have you guys. That's why we have the coordinators. As for the fourth typical task, coordinators will also submit participant rosters on the time study website and update within the website as needed. And lastly, we typically ask that you all will be able to answer phone calls and emails within a business day. As you all know, we do this time study during this like short period of time from right around April to May, and then after that is like the approval time and everything like that, where you all approve timesheets. So we're obviously like working with about 2 months of time, and we have to try to get everyone's time in right after that 2 week period. So it's really important that we have somewhat decent contact with everyone throughout the time study. Onto some more time study roles, the participant and approvers. So for participants, they're typically an individual responsible for tracking their activities and completing timesheets during the time study. And as for participants, coordinators and approvers can technically be a participant too. So if you have timesheets and you are going to be completing the time study, you are technically a participant. But there are participants who are just normal staff who are not coordinators and approvers. So typically staff that I'm sure that a lot of you all supervise throughout each week. As for approvers, this is for the web-based system. There are very few programs that are completing on paper. I believe last year we had 12 out of about 130. And then this year we're probably looking at 5 or 6 programs out of 130, just because some programs have very, very like strict, whether it be policies or just really critical situations with children at the programs. So that is reserved just for them only going forward. I know the last few years have been kind of a transition period to get everyone to the web. So approvers will be responsible for approving time study time results and confirming that staff are entering activities throughout the time study. Typically, approvers are supervisors, but they don't always have to be supervisors. A lot of times, it's very common having an approver be someone who is a supervisor because they oversee their specific staff. And a lot of times, the larger programs will have approvers because they'll have 100, 150, 200 staff or so. And so it's much easier for the coordinators to be able to allocate a few of those timesheets for approvers to look over. And then lastly, approvers may also complete their own timesheets during the time study. All right, on to who should participate in the time study. So staff who should participate would be any staff who provide or supervise the provision of treatment, room and board, or education, as the terms below are defined. So I'm going to go over those real fast. So as for treatment, these are interventions defined in the treatment plan that are designed to promote recovery and help restore youth to their best functional level. I do want to mention that there are some programs or certain scenarios of programs where a child may not have a treatment plan, but what you're doing would be considered treatment if it's more likely than not going to be in the treatment plan. So, for example, this can happen with any program, but I'm just going to use emergency residences for an example. A lot of the times, children will come in a pretty critical situation, and they have to have care, and a lot of the times there's not enough time to instantly just make a treatment plan and have it ready. So a lot of times, whatever you're doing during those critical moments is typically treatment. And that's something that really wasn't stressed in the past. So we're trying to stress that a little bit moving forward, so that we can see those treatment numbers go up for those programs that may be a little confused on those type of situations. For room and board, that would be all support and supervision activities that are not a part of a youth treatment plan. So I like to think of that as something that a parent and guardian would do to ensure the safety and well-being of the youth. And then lastly, education. So that would be academic instruction as appropriate based on the educational plan developed by the student's local education agency. However, academic teachers should not participate. So if you're like a res school or something like that and you have academic teachers there at the program, they technically would not participate. Typically education is on here because sometimes there are staff who have to like assist in education. I also do want to mention that if some kind of education assistance is in their treatment plan, like if it's such as like a child with a disability and that is specifically in their treatment plan for them to improve on, that would also be treatment. So sometimes education room and board can also be treatment. And we'll go over that in further detail in the participant training that's at the beginning of April. We have quite a few slides that have those in detail. All right, now on to some additional staff who should participate. So additional staff would be consultants hired by the program to do youth-related work, including the development of training staff and program activities. Secondly, would be relief staff that should complete the time study form for any shifts worked during the 14-day period. And then lastly, all staff who are paid by the Congregate Care Network contract. So I do want to mention, we did get a question, I believe yesterday. I don't know if that individual's in here, but it was about what was it? It was about interns. So typically interns are not paid under the Congregate Care Network contract. Um, if I don't think they're paid at all typically. So those people would not be in the time study. So there are per diem staff that may be in the time study, just depending on if that staff works during that 2 week period. They could even work for a few days during that time study period, but as long as they are like contracted per diem staff that like work part-time and stuff like that, then they should participate as well. And then on to who should not participate in the time study. So a few of those individuals would be staff who do not provide treatment, room and board, or education, as these terms are defined for the time study. So that would basically be facility workers or admin staff. Last year, I believe there was actually some admin staff that recorded like literally 35 or 40 hours of admin for the week, some even 50. And those people didn't have any other time on their timesheet. So for them, they basically completed the time study and we couldn't use their data. So I just want to make sure that that's stressed to everybody because admin staff don't need to participate. There is an admin option on the timesheets, but that's just because typically regular staff who do engage in activities with different youth in the DCF tree, they may do like maybe a couple hours here and there of admin work. So secondly, would be who should not participate is staff whose primary and exclusive function is education. So just I had mentioned a couple slides ago, that would be specifically staff that are teachers or teachers' aides. And lastly, would be staff who directly bill a third-party source such as Medicaid for their services rendered to youth. So I do want to talk about this a little bit. So when we mean that they should not participate, basically they should not record their time that is billed to other Medicaid services. So there typically can be staff that actually record DCF time. They should be completing the time study, but only for the time that they're actually working with the youth that's not billed to Medicaid. So basically, they just don't use their other half of their hours that they render during the time study. All right, that is all for kind of the coordinator responsibilities and going over who should participate, who shouldn't participate, and just giving a little brief description of like what treatment, room and board, and education is. So now I'm going to be passing off the presentation to Setu, and she's going to be doing an orientation of the website. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and she's going to go ahead and pull up hers.
Hi everyone. So I'm going to be going over the website orientation. And so just an overview, the Maro website link is marotimestudy.com. And I'm going to be going over how to activate your account, logging into your account and the website, and then how to navigate the home screen and timesheet locations. And lastly, we do have a training resources page on the website that you can access for additional resources if you have any other questions. But you can also always send us an email if you do have any other questions that might not be on that resources page. So first, activating your account. You will receive the email below, and the subject will be Medicaid Time Study account confirmation. So once you click the link in that email, you're going to create a password. And that's how you will be able to access your account and log into the website. And if you have any questions about that, or if you get any error messages, feel free to send us an email and we can resend those email confirmations. Now I'm going to be going over how to upload rosters, downloading the Excel sheet to upload that roster, and just kind of showing you different scenarios of if there are any errors, and how it will look when the roster is uploaded successfully. Additionally, I'm going to be going over how to add users into the web system, how to edit and deactivate users, and how to move users via the roster in case you need to have any participants move to a different location, or anything like that. So now I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second.
Oh. Okay. Everything.
And can you all see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so first, this is how it's going to look on the home screen of your dashboard. And how to access the roster is going to be this roster tab right here. Oh, sorry. There we go. And then you're going to have a list of all of the locations that you have access to. So I'm going to use this one as an example. So how you would create a new user is clicking this, create new user, and then you're going to fill out the new account information. So first name, last name, their email address, phone number if they have it, extension if they have it, and then the role. The role would be coordinator, approver, or no role if they are a participant. And then you're going to pick who's going to be an approver. So right now we only have coordinators as approvers, but if you do upload another approver that is not a coordinator as well, their name would be listed here. And then you will click and select how they will be participating. So online, paper packet, not participating, and then their UFR position. So we have all of them laid out here. And then you would click Save Changes and it will create a new user. So another one as an example would be deactivating a user. So this is where you would go. You would just click into their name and you can deactivate right here. So once you deactivate it, make sure you save the changes and then it will deactivate their account. Additionally, if you do want to send a password reset, you can do that right here, and also an email confirmation in case their link expired or something went wrong. You also have the ability to send that email confirmation again for them to create their account. So now downloading the actual Excel roster template is going to be right here. So you're going to click Download Template. And then it's going to show up right here in your downloads and you're going to click Open File. And then here it's going to ask, since I've already been in this file, it didn't show it, but make sure you click Enable Edit so that it lets you edit this file and submit it to the website. So this first page is the instructions tab. So this is basically going over everything that I'm going to be going over, but has it laid out so that you can read it and go over it yourself if you have any additional questions. But this is the link to training videos that have additional resources, and if you need any, if you have any questions. And this link right here is going to be the form for if you do want to do paper packets and request them. However, we do want to note that if your program did web in the past, you won't be able to do paper packets this year. Last year, we had about 12 locations out of 130 that did papers, so only a few are qualified for this. But if you do want to apply for and fill out the waiver, you can do so. But just note that we are trying to do as much web as we can this year. And if you are a new coordinator and don't know if you did paper last year, feel free to email us and we can let you know. And please fill out this form by the end of this week so that we can reach out to you and let you know if you are going to be able to do paper packets or not. Moving on to the leadership tab. This is where you're going to input your coordinators and approvers. And just a reminder for all of these sheets, do not copy and paste into the columns. They must be filled out manually or else they won't upload to the website correctly. So I'm just going to fill this out and show you all an example, and then we can upload it together and see how it should look. So first, I'm just going to create a fake name. You're just going to type them in manually and then say if they're going to be a coordinator or approver. So I'll say they're going to be a coordinator and that this is a program director. And you're going to select if they are participating in the time study. So sometimes we know that coordinators or approvers do not participate, so we just want to know if they are. I'll put no for this one, and then I'll put a fake email. And phone number. And then if there is an extension for their phone number, please input that. And as you see, this cell is cleared out, which means that you input everything correctly. But let's say you didn't input a phone number, it would have the error message that's saying missing phone number. So you would have to put that number in and make sure that everything looks good. I'll also put in an approver so you can see that. So this person would be an approver. And then you would say who it is and if they are participating in the time study. And make sure that the email is spelled correctly, or else we might have to reach out to you to confirm the email addresses. And you will know that you input everything correctly if it says roster status valid, initial checks complete. So then you would move on to the participants. And this is where you would put the actual participants. So you would not be putting in coordinators or approvers in this participants tab. If you repeat a coordinator or approver from the leadership tab, it will give you an error. But I will show you that as an example, just so we can see what it looks like when you do upload a roster that is not, that does repeat that or has an error. So I'll just create some new names. And these will be participants. We do have web as the only option, just because that is a default. So I'm going to create another. And then here you're going to select who the approver will be. So as you saw in the leadership tab, I did put Jack Smith as an approver. So if you want specifically Jack Smith to be approving this, then you would input that name there. However, if you want the coordinators to all have access to approving this person Sam's timesheets, then you would put that. So for this one, I will put coordinators, and then for the second one, I will put approver, so you can see how that looks. And so here, I'm going to put Jack Smith as the approver. And then here, I'm going to put example Jane Doe, who's the coordinator, and Jane's email as the participant, so we can see that error. And I will put that same email from Jane's leadership tab input so that we can see that there is an error. So here, email is not unique. It says email is not unique, so it is basically showing that there is a duplicate from the leadership tab. So you would have to upload that. However, for this case, I'm going to upload it as a with the error, just so we can see how it looks. And now I'm going to go back here, and this is how you're going to upload the roster. So here, the green tab that says upload completed roster is where you would go ahead and upload it. So here I would just click that same file in my downloads and validate file. So as you can see, it says validation errors. Row 7 in participants, user needs a unique email, duplicate email in file. So it's giving me that same error. So we would go back and take this out or replace it with someone else. But in this case, I'm going to delete it and just upload these two participants. And I would save the file again. So now I'll go back here, choose the updated file, and validate it. And this is where how it will look if you are validating the file correctly. It will say roster status, file validation successful, and please save the click save file once you have confirmed that everything looks good. So here you can see that Jack has been put as an approver and Jane Doe is the coordinator. And then here you can see that Jack, the approver, is only in charge of approving Walter. And that's where you would go and save the file just to make sure that everything is there completed. And yeah, so I'm also going to be showing you how to move participants. So for example, I'm going to save this. For example, if we wanted to move Walter to another location within JRI, this is how we would do it. So let's say I'm the coordinator and I wanted to move Walter from Berkshire to GRIP. I would go back to the roster and I would take out Sam just because Sam is going to be staying in that first location. But I would keep Walter's information here, and I would save this. And then I would go over to GRIP, which is the location I wanted to move Walter to, and upload completed roster. Choose that file that has only Walter in it, and validate that file. So here we are adding the coordinators, approvers, and Walter. But let's say we wanted to move Walter back to the other location. So we can go back to the roster and back here. And you can see that Walter is gone from here. Oh, he's still here. So let's say we want to take out Walter. So we can put Sam back here and delete Walter. And we would save this. Go back here, upload. So now it is only Sam and Walter is not there anymore. So you would save that. And that is the demonstration. So if you have any additional questions, please let us know. Let me continue the slides. So I went over all of these. Now I'm just going to be going over some key dates and information that we have. Just a reminder, the roster deadline is March 14th, 2025. And the training dates for the Time Study 101, this includes coordinators, approvers, and all participants, are going to be starting on Tuesday, April 1st from 2 to 3:30 p.m. And that is the Train the Trainer session, but it's open to all. The training 101 is for everyone, but the first hour is specifically only for everyone. And the last 30 minutes will only be for coordinators and approvers. And then we're going to have another one on Wednesday, April 2nd, 2 to 3:30, Wednesday, April 9th, 2 to 3:30, and then Thursday, April 10th, 2 to 3:30. Before participating in the time study, everyone needs to be trained. This can happen through one of the live sessions on the dates and times that you see here. It can happen by offering a live training at your site, or the trainings are also recorded. So if participants cannot make it, we'll show you how you can have your staff access the videos on the website. Time study dates are going to be on Monday, April 28th through Sunday, May 11th. And that will be when you will be filling out all of the timesheets. Just a reminder, we really appreciate all of your assistance and participation in our time study this year, and wanted to open it up now for questions.